give out. The Philadelphia Phillies are 2008 World Champions of baseball.
The Philadelphia Eagles are Super Bowl champions. Eagles fans everywhere, this is for you.
Now entering the game for Philly Pressbox Radio, Bill Furman and Jim Chet Chesko.
It's Wednesday, October 5th, 2022. Welcome to the Philly Pressbox Radio Roundtable, brought to you by the Irish Rover Station House in Langhorne, PA, Allstate Insurance in Westchester, PA, and the Edge of Philly Sports Network. I'm Bill Furman. I'll be your host tonight, along with my special co-host, Freddy Burns, as my partner, Chet, Jim Chet Chesko, is enjoying some vacation time. Freddie, the Phillies have ended their 11-year drought and bringing some playoff baseball back to town. The Eagles continue to roll on as, man, they're playing good football. They're undefeated, the only undefeated team at 4-0. The Penn State Nittany Lions, how about them? They roll into their bye week. They're undefeated, ranked number 10. The Sixers opened their preseason against old number 25 the other night, and the Flyers preseason is underway as well. So much to talk about.
So much. The Roaring 20s. We still have hope for the Roaring 20s for Philadelphia sports, so I'm pumped.
Yes, we do. Good stuff. Hey, before we get to the important Philly sports, let's take a second and talk about really important stuff. You mind giving us an update on how Freddy 4 is doing?
Thank you. He is doing good. His spirits are great. He's been in remission since Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, but he's still going through chemo. We're in a real tough spot here. He has an IV in his arm, but we're about 5 weeks out from removing that and then getting to a point where we don't have to walk on eggshells. So very good stuff. And I thank you for your support, Philly Pressbox, and everyone that, talks to me, our family, friends, everyone. Thank you so much.
Well, it's been a heck of a ride for you and Christy and the whole family, and man, couldn't be happier for the good news.
Thank you.
You got it. All right, let's get started. We'll talk some Phillies baseball. Who would have thought, Fred, at the top of the list in October, our first show of October, we'd be talking Phillies? They made it interesting down the stretch. None of that matters once the dance starts on Friday.
It is Red October, and it's funny because I don't even know. Right before that Brave series where they got swept, I literally was on Edge of Philly going, listen, calm down, Al. There's no way they don't make the playoffs. They're not going to get swept by the Braves. They're not going to lose to the Cubs. And then I watch it unfold in front of my eyes. My buddies were breaking my stones like, you mush. But
well, and if it wasn't for the Marlins winning 3 out of 4 from the Brewers, this thing might not have gone exactly how it did.
I know, which kind of brings it down a little, but not really for me. I'll say when that happened, I was so excited. Like even the locker room stuff, the champagne, all that stuff. I know it's just a playoff wild card that's been non-existent, but it brought you back to 10, 11 years ago plus, even 08, 07. And it made you have those strong feelings and bring those memories back again. And, I woke my daughter up in the morning. You got YouTube now. So, woke her up 7 years old. I'm like, look, check this out. And she's like, oh, wow, they're spraying. What are they spraying? And I was like, yeah, that's beer. And it was pretty cool. It was a cool experience.
Yeah. Well, hey, I have to ask you, are you surprised that overall the pitching is really what held this team together while the bats have struggled down the stretch? I don't think we'd ever thought that. We thought this lineup would always hit. Didn't go that way.
Extremely surprised. You thought this was going to be built on the bats, as you said, from the beginning. And this pitching staff has changed a lot over since April till now as well. And, it's weird. Different pitchers step up at different times. Gibson has ran off a train, but now all of a sudden Bailey Falter, who the joke was how he faltered all the time, is the stopper. So it's great to see. Suarez he had a little down slope, but he's been pretty consistent. Noah got a W in September, huge, almost threw a perfect game the other night. The pitching really has held it together. And I don't know what's up with the bats. What's up with the bats?
Well, I don't know either, but we used to always say, Fred, when I was coaching in high school, at the high school, I said, when we got in these big games, these tough games, somebody needs to be a hero. We need a hero. Well, Bryson Stott and Kyle Schwarber became the heroes over the weekend that got this team over the hump. And, man, again, they don't do it without them. I got on to Schwarber real bad last week. I think he was reading Philly Pressbox Radio, and he saw where I was dogging him about hitting 210 and 200 strikeouts. And he drops 4 bombs, and couldn't have happened at a better time.
Yeah, it's really tough with him because it's the new age of baseball and the new way of doing things. And, you know, I understand it to a point, him at leadoff, because he does get more at bats, and the hope is there will be runners on base in later innings. I can swallow that. But yeah, the 220 and the strikeouts and not getting on, then it's like, it doesn't matter because you're striking out. Like, so I'm with you, but hey, the home run couldn't come at a better time. He is a veteran on this team, though it's his first year. He has some experience in the playoffs. So, you know, good for him.
I don't know if you saw this last night because a lot of people turned the game off, I think. They had Dave Dombrowski in the booth last night, and they were talking about Kyle Schwarber, and I really thought this was an interesting point. They said about his leadership, and Rob Thompson said, according to Dombrowski, he is the greatest leader he's ever been around. And Rob Thompson's been in this game for 40 years, and said that Kyle Schwarber, what he does in the clubhouse, and they threw out Darren Dalton's name, Dombrowski, because he had experience with Dalton. He says he's up above that level.
That's a big level to jump. You hear about Dalton, there's nothing but, you know, amazing things to say about him from the 90s era, and even when he went to the Marlins, which was with Dombrowski, right? Yep. He was part of the one that got him to the Marlins. So I will say this about Schwarber in his media appearances early on. I got that vibe from him, even about the fans. He was very appreciative. He's like, yeah, it's nothing like them. Like there's something different about here. And they were criticizing though. And he wasn't being a baby about it. And when he wasn't a baby about it, I'm like, you know what? This guy's got his head screwed on right. I hope he works out here.
Yeah. Well, I think you can't have this conversation about the Phillies without talking about Bryce Harper. His average has dropped somewhere 35 to 40 points since he came off the injured list. Certainly something to be concerned about. He could turn it over tonight, though, and get hot. If he does, they're going to win some games. The other concern I have offensively, Alec Boehm, who I really like, was flirting with 300 for a long time. He's dropped 20 points, hits ground ball after ground ball. He's just off the mark a little bit. They need those two guys to heat up here in this 3-game series and to get to the next series in the playoffs.
Yeah, Harper has really dropped off. I think it's 226 in 147 appearances or something. Only 3 homers in that amount. We've seen him turn it around at times, but yeah, it's concerning, you know, especially DH. It's not like he could be in the field to get his mind off it a little bit and make some plays in the field to get some momentum going because he's just stuck there. That's all he has to think about. I do got good news for Boehm though. He's killed it against the Cardinals, 8 for 19, 3 home runs. I think 4 runs scored. So maybe that's just what he needs to get that Cardinal vibe again, like he did. Because what's that? I forget what series that was, how long ago it was. Labor Day weekend, I think, or Memorial Day weekend, one of the two. Yeah, so maybe that'll get Boehm going as well.
I hope so. One of the big concerns I have, that I didn't have a month ago, that I have now, Sir Anthony Dominguez is really struggling in that 9th inning slot. You know, David Robertson might have to be that guy. They ran Dominguez out there again last night in a blowout. He gave up more runs. Connor Brogdon has struggled a little bit down the stretch. Hand is hurt. You know, they've got some issues on that back end now. But then you have Jose Alvarado, who has just turned around and been ridiculously good.
Yeah. What do we do? What's the concern? Like, I'm concerned, and then I don't know who Tomper's going to play. It's hard to argue with Tomper because he got us to the playoffs, but like there was that one point during that week, Alvarado hadn't pitched since Sunday, and he's just sitting him. So Alvarado and that cutter's been outstanding. Whatever they did down there, I mean, he was drafted by the Tampa Bay Rays, and they know talent. So like he definitely has the talent, and I hope he continues that. Eflin closed that perfect or that win. Is Eflin the guy? Can Eflin give you an inning or two? I tend to believe he can.
That's who I was going to say. Eflin may be that guy. Gibson's going to the bullpen.
Falter pitched an inning today. It looks like they may be setting him up for the pen.
Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing. I didn't see the score today even or see what was going on there. But they were talking about Falter last night, Dombrowski was, and they talked about him eating a lot of innings today, so not to use the bullpen, which would have probably made him ineligible for the next round because they wouldn't have been able to pitch through Sunday. So maybe they changed what they were thinking. They used more bullpen guys, and Falter becomes available. Syndergaard becomes available in the bullpen. So there's all kinds of things that can happen here and all kinds of mixes and matches.
Yeah, I didn't see how many he ended up pitching. I know, I forget the guy that went, whatever his name was, Presley maybe went like 5, and then Falter did the 6. So I don't know if he continued on. It was 2-0 at the time. I stopped watching. But
so Falter didn't even start today like he was supposed to. Okay, good. Well, I mean, they might need him, and maybe the way that Ranger pitched last night, he was throwing beach balls up there. Maybe Falter gets that third start and not Ranger.
Ranger was pretty hungover. If you see if you see pictures from the clubhouse, he had 3 beers in one hand, one in his mouth. I think Topper threw him out there to be like, "Yo, buddy, let's get your head screwed back on real quick."
he was throwing beach balls up there in that first inning last night. Hey, wanted to ask you your thoughts on JT Realmuto. He got a lot of heat early on. He was the whipping boy of the week there for a few weeks early in the season. Get rid of him. He's a bum, blah, blah, blah. He's the best catcher in baseball. That hasn't changed as he proved. Defensively, he's matched in some offense. He's hitting some long balls. JT Realmuto has had a heck of a season as well.
Yeah, I never jumped off the JT train. I think that was a little, personal beliefs on issues drove that a little bit more than his actual play, even though he was struggling. But yeah, he's the best catcher in baseball. Players aren't going to be perfect 24/7. And they're going to go through lumps. And if there's anyone that's been consistent over time, it's him, not to mention how great he is behind the plate, framing pitches, throwing guys out. He's even got a little bit of speed on the base pass. He never stopped hustling. I didn't understand the hate of JT Realmuto as far as, criticize him, but not get this bum out of here. Like, get this bum out of here. What?
Yeah. I couldn't even believe it. Well, I kid all the time about, the fickle Philly fans and their, bum of the week, the guy they want to run out of town this week. It changes a little bit when it's Eagles season because you get to throw them in there too. You can hate on them, but they haven't been giving us any real reason to hate. So, we keep throwing Phillies out there.
They have not. The Phillies took the brunt of it, especially on that slide. Now they got it's 2000. It's payback now for 2011. A lot of storylines there still.
Well, there's a lot of storylines, but there's no common threads except for Pujols and
Pujols, Molina, and then the bench coach Schmoomaker is the guy that hit the game-winning double in Game 5. Who was at bat when that crazy squirrel was running around. Remember the whole squirrel thing? Yeah, he's the bench coach. So there's some ties there as well. I'm trying to regenerate my hate for the Cardinals.
Here you go. Here's a comment for us, Fred. I hate to be negative, but my nightmares of Cliff Lee giving up 4 runs to the Cards at 11 are creeping back.
I was there. I remember being at O'Hagan's, Bill, in Collingdale, and the Eagles had just lost to the 49ers. I texted my buddy Matt Blong, and I'm like, dude, let's go to game. And then it was raucous in there. We were, I think, I forget who was pitching. I think Anibal Sanchez, I feel like, was pitching for the Cardinals, and everyone's chanting his name, and then they blew the lead.
There you go. Hey, before we close out on the Phillies, they've got the Cardinals. Then they have the Braves. While the other side, San Diego's got the Mets, followed by the Dodgers. I like the Phillies side that they're on. What's your take? Can they beat the Cardinals in 3, and can they compete with the Braves?
I think they could beat the Cardinals, but a lot of people are hanging on to this. We went 4 4-3 against them this year, but the pitching staff that they have when we went against them is totally different. Only one guy is still a starter. So that's kind of my hang up. Who are they going to bring out? A lot of these guys, the guy Quintana, I think has like a .89 ERA in September. So that's my concern. Can we beat them? Sure. I mean, them bats, when they're hot, they get hot. So maybe this little break can get them going. I
hope so. Well, we'll either be in the middle of the second series by next Wednesday's show, or else they'll have a couple rounds of golf already in. I don't, one or the other.
Just get one win to make it interesting. Let's get like a game 3 so I can watch the Eagles all day and then get them Sunday night. That'd be pretty good.
There you go. And game time 2:07 on Friday on ABC, Saturday night, Sunday night for those that have not been keeping up with that.
If you have kids in school, pull them out of school. This has happened 15 times since 1883. You don't know when it's going to happen again. I'm pulling my daughter out. Pull your kids out.
There you go. All right. Good Phillies talk, Fred. What we're going to do now is take a quick break, and we're going to talk to our friend Dave Lavoie at Allstate Insurance. And Fred, you probably find this pretty hard to believe, but Chet is going to make a couple cameos today because you know him. He can't miss a camera. So we know Chet's probably spending more time on his couch than he is in his car. So let's start saving with Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance.
Yes, indeed. Allstate's pay-as-you-go auto insurance puts you in control. You only pay for the miles you drive. With the same full coverage that a traditional policy offers, pay-per-mile insurance gives customers greater control of their insurance costs. See how much you can save with pay-per-mile car insurance by calling your local agent. In Westchester, Pennsylvania, that's Dave Lavoie. Call Dave at 610-430-0700. Again, 610-430-0700. And start to save more now that you are driving less. You just might want to drive to Langhorne. While the weather may be cooler now, there are still plenty of hot deals at the Irish Rover Station House. Great dinner specials Thursday through Sunday most weekends, happy hour specials, and during Eagles games on Sundays, a $5 tailgate menu, as well as beer specials and those legendary Rover mimosas. Of course, there are always 24 beers on tap at the Rover. Don't try them all on the same visit. That's not recommended. The Irish Rover Station House is on Bellevue Avenue in Langhorne. The website, irishroverstationhouse.com.
Hi, football fans. This is Merrill Reese, and you're listening to Bill and Chet on Philly Pressbox Radio. It's good!
Well, hey, Freddie, let's talk about the only undefeated team in the NFL, your Philadelphia Eagles. How excited are you? I thought this Jacksonville game was a great showing by the Birds. I thought it was a great job by Nick Sirianni and the offensive staff. They saw what they had. Conditions were not conducive to having a good quarterback game because of the weather. They hunkered down on both sides of the ball in the trench and just kicked tail.
Gutsy win. That's like one of them gutsy stomach wins. Adversity's thrown at you, and you're like, what does this team really got? And led by Jalen Hurts, they and the staff, obviously, with the adjustments they made, they showed, we got a lot of guts, and they came back and really ran the ball down the throat of going into that game, the number one defensive line and number one run D in football.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think hopefully that's a little bit of a coming out party for Miles Sanders. He was outstanding. He looked so fast on a terrible turf. He looked really good, really quick, got the ball upfield. Couldn't ask for a better day from Miles Sanders.
Yeah, I've been very critical of him. I'll take some credit for his day because I sat him in fantasy knowing they were going up against that great defensive line. So I lost in fantasy that week. Had to root for him, but then begrudgingly, I kind of was like, give it the Gainwell, please. But he played. That was his best game as an Eagle, and really the best game we've seen from a running back since probably LaShawn McCoy, like back in, I don't know, early 2010, 12 area. Yeah. So, outstanding game. I hope he can keep it up. It's a contract year. He better keep it up.
Yeah, right. Well, and the good news is They lost Jordan Mailata. They lost Isaac Samala, and both are not hurt to the point that they can't play this weekend in Arizona. Even though the backup guys played really well, go with your best, and that offensive line is just as good as it gets.
And they got Dillard coming back as well.
Yeah.
I don't know if he'll be able to play, but he's definitely cleared to practice. You know, shout out to oh my God, the name's escaping me. The O-line coach from Alabama. I don't know why it's jumping
Jeff
off.
Stoutland.
Yeah. You know, this is year after year after year after year. I mean, it really is unbelievable that like these guys just could get put in spots and play to this level. And especially, I think the stat was Kelsey, Dickerson, and what's it say, Amalo? I guess before he got hurt, they've given up 0 sacks in the game. The O-line, that first quarter was scary, and then they just mauled them, and it was like, is this really happening? And Jalen Hurts has a lot to do with that too, because the defense has to stay on their toes. They can't commit to the run fully because he may be running or spreading out and throwing. So he's a big part of it as well.
Yeah, there's an article that came out today. I read it right before the show. I didn't even have time to post it, but I have it still up here on my screen. I'm going to glance away here for just a second. It's Jason Kelsey talking about Jeff Stoutland. And here's something for you. Kelsey, Lane Johnson, Evan Mathis, Brandon Brooks, and Jason Peters have made a total of 17 Pro Bowls under Stoutland. In the 50 years before Stoutland got here, the Eagles offensive linemen combined for 14 Pro Bowls. How's that?
And yeah, none of them were John Runyon. Maybe 3 of them were Trey Thomas. I'm trying to think. So like go and take 3 away. Let's get rid of Trey. Oh my God. Like that's amazing. That's amazing.
I mean, back in the Jerry Sizemore and those kind of, some of those guys made it. Bob Boomer Brown way back 50 years. He's done more in a handful of years. And this is a great article, by the way. It's on NBC Sports Philly. Check it out. It's Jason Kelsey when he was asked today about Jeff Stoutland. It's well worth the read. It's short.
He almost went back to Bama when the coaching change happened as well.
He
so
did.
We're lucky.
He did. And it also talks about Kelsey playing 3 years under Chip Kelly. Before Stoutland got there, no Pro Bowls, no anything. Since Stoutland, 5 Pro Bowls, 4 first-team All-Pros, and probably headed to Canton.
Yeah, there was a point Kelsey was getting run out of town. I remember the play where he pulled from center and he didn't get there, and people are like, "What's going on?" You remember that? It was Dallas on a Sunday night game.
Yep.
I was one of the people critical of him. I remember wanting to draft Marquise Pouncey at one point. But yeah, credit to Stoutland and Kelsey.
And talk about credit. We got to give credit to that Howie Roseman, because I'm here to tell you, I knew it when it happened. I was the first one jumping up and down, getting A.J. Brown. You got an elite receiver. You put him with Devontae Smith, who is going to be another elite receiver. And then they're working Dallas Goedert into the offense, doing all kinds of things. This offense has more weapons than anybody in the league.
It's the most weapons we have seen on an Eagles team, I think. T.O.'s the best receiver, I guess you would say, we went and got, besides getting into like Carmichael back in the day and Tommy McDonald, obviously. But modern day, T.O., but he didn't have anyone around him besides Westbrook. This is amazing right now. And the scheme, and then the quarterback able to run the way he does and now throw, accurately in holes. This is scary good, and our record reflects that.
Yeah, it is scary good. And I try to always keep things kind of on an even keel, not too high up, not too low. But you can't help but get excited about what to see this next game, and then the next game, because you just think this is going to be good every week. Let's jump over to the defense. They're playing extremely well too. The front 7, again, great improvement came from the pickups of Roseman. They haven't even really benefited a lot from the draft of the guys they got, those 2 Georgia Bulldogs. Davis has played a little bit. But Cox is playing great. Graham's playing great. Reddick's playing great. And then they added the back end. So they improved in basically all 11 positions.
Number 1 in takeaways, number 1 in sacks, number 1 in third down stops. Are we still firing Jonathan Gannon, by the way?
Not this week.
Not this week.
He was whipping boy a couple weeks ago.
I know he was. And I'm probably one of the only people that defended him. I'm like, last year he had nothing. And like, and then the first week, the defensive line got blown off the ball. I'm like, how's it his fault that Fletcher Class got blown off the ball 3 yards? Anyhow, it's been awesome to see. And now you can see Gannon can play a little bit. He's had like Reddick in coverage, which we don't love, but that's the cost of trickery. You know what I mean? Sweat's been in coverage a little bit. But to your point with Howie, the trade for C.J. Gardner-Johnson was huge. You know, Maddox has been the great slot guy. I know he's hurt now. William Bradbury, that's a huge move. I loved it when he did it. I'm like, wow, you're going to get this guy on the cheap from the Giants? How stupid are the New York Giants? But, yeah, I mean, I know they're 3-1 and their defense is playing well, but, like, how do you let that guy go? Hopefully we can pay him because looks like a Pro Bowler right now. I like him better than Slay.
Yeah. Well, and speaking of Slay, I mean, he's been really good too, as advertised or as we knew he could be. He's been that good. You know, the one that really surprises me, and he was my whipping boy 10 years ago, is Brandon Graham just keeps getting better and better. And Fred, he's as old as me.
Remember the Earl Thomas draft? We're like, they got rid of Dog. You got to get Earl Thomas. And then Earl Thomas, Legion of Boom. We were crushing Brandon Graham. I'm one of them too, you know. And then, you know, but like this guy has stayed the time through the whole thing, not complained. He's a general good dude. I know that for a fact from people that he's given tickets to. I couldn't be more happier for him coming off the injury with 2.5 sacks that game. Was that late? No, that wasn't last week. It was the week before. But getting pressure. It's great. It's fun to see.
Yeah. Looking forward to Sunday. We'll get to picks because we're going to have you as our guest picker here a little bit later when we get Boop. Boop will be with us and we'll make our picks and you get to make some. So I won't ask you what's going to happen on Sunday down in the desert yet. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So before we get to our second guest, as I said, Bob Vetrone Jr., Fred, I had to ask you this. I know you're a huge Sixers fan and NBA fan. Did you actually watch the Sixers-Nets preseason game with that bum number 25 playing for the Nets?
Not only did I watch it, I did a post-game show on it. So I watched it, and that bum, he's the same exact guy. I've defended him for years, you know what I mean? And it was such a relief to not have to do that anymore because he is a good player. He's an all-star as is. He's just not the superstar that he was drafted number 1 to be. But he's the same guy. They had Niang on him, Tobias Harris, and Paul Reed. There was a time he could have took the real difference was the first quarter. It was the first possession. He comes down. He could have took the jumper at the elbow, but he didn't. He froze up past. Very next possession, Maxey, wide open 3, bam, in. And I'm like, that's night and day. So, yeah, Simmons, same guy, missed the 2 free throws, missed the turnaround, ridiculous hook, like fadeaway shot, but had some great passes, some nice defensive plays, and made points in transition off the dunk. So he's same guy. Sixers, though, they look good with everyone down. They were beat, and the Nets played all their starters. The Sixers, no Harden, no Embiid, no PJ Tucker. Montrezl Harrell fouled out. I don't know how he did that in a half, but he looked like an aggressive. Philly's going to love him. And then DeAndre Melton, his defense was awesome. He had a steal off 3 steals, but one was it was so quick. It looked like Paul Reed made the steal, but his hands were that quick on Ben Simmons. So how excited are you about the reports of James Harden and being in a little better shape and being really seeming to be engaged in what's going on here with this team? At least that's the reports we're getting. That excites you. Yeah, he said at the end of the year when they interviewed him, like, I'm going to do whatever it takes to win. And he literally put his money where his mouth is. Eating all that money showed me that he is for real. And then, all the workouts, he looks skinny. He's done this weight loss thing too before, but working out with Maxey, hanging out. So I'm excited to see what level he's at. And I just think overall as a roster, it's probably the best roster we have in the Embiid time that he's been here. That the best starters probably was that Reddick team, Reddick, Butler, Tobias Harris. But then if you got to the bench there, it was like Boban and Shake, where this team is a little more filled out and there's some toughness to it, which we all saw the softness. We see it. We see it every year. And as a process fan, I hid from it because I just wanted the process to work. But it glared the last 2 years, especially, it showed its head. And I think they addressed it.
Good. I hope so. All right, let's move on. Give a shout out to all the shows at the edge of Philly Sports Network this week. Wall-to-wall coverage as usual. Network continuing to grow. You can catch all the action at www.eopsports.com, as well as Edge of Philly Sports on YouTube. You can find our show on Philly Pressbox Radio YouTube channel as well. Help us out by hitting those subscribe, follow, and like buttons. And as always, share it with your family and friends. As you can see, it is loaded up, and even more on Sundays, but every other day you see us on Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock. All right, Freddie, I know how much I like college football. This season hasn't disappointed. Penn State's off to a 5-0 start going into their bye week and coming out with a trip to Ann Arbor to play number 4 Michigan. I'm telling you what, Fred, I really, really like this football team. They are loaded with young talent, freshmen and sophomores. I looked at the roster today just to prep it for the show a little bit. They only have 12 seniors on the entire roster, and some of them aren't playing. They are loaded with freshmen, loaded with sophomores, and they're all on the field.
Penn State, I'll just say that, as you know, I'm a Georgia fan now, but as a kid, I was raised Penn State with my dad, and we kind of had a thing where I kind of went against him, and I wasn't going to do it for the other 4 sports, so it was kind of Georgia in a 1 bowl game one time it happened. Anyhow, so long story short, he's no longer with us. Now I kind of root for Penn State. I almost feel like he's there, and it's nice to watch. I'll tell you one thing: college football is so much better when Penn State is good. It's just awesome every week. The area is good. It's just the vibes are good. The Big Ten is better, and they have struggled the last 2 weeks, and they found ways to get the win. I do have a question for you, though, because the freshman kid, Aller, I know he had 1 drive in that first game, and he looked like he was ready. Sean Clifford, he has been criticized, much like Philadelphia quarterbacks, up and down. I read an article today. They're still 50-50 on him. Like, what's going to happen here? Because you're going into a spot here where you're going to have Ohio State, Minnesota, and Michigan. He's going to have to step it up a level, right?
Well, Sean Clifford's the leader of the football team. There's no question about it. Joe Allure is going to get his opportunities. He can't throw him into the big house with 2 undefeated teams and say, go ahead, freshman, have at it. That's not a good decision. And, if it happens to Clifford, sure, you go. Clifford played in the same conditions Jalen Hurts played in, Saturday and Sunday. This week, they were terrible. The difference was that Clifford's running backs were the ones doing, and they turned the ball over 4 or 5 times, which put a little more pressure on Clifford to have to do some things that it just wasn't conducive to do. So I'm not too worried about that. The kid's a leader. He's a winner. I think he's going to be just fine. And I think they're going to go to Michigan. Michigan's played nobody. Penn State's been battle-tested at Purdue on a Thursday night opener. They went to Auburn. Not a good Auburn team as Auburn teams go, but took care of business in a hostile environment. I think they're locked and loaded to go to Ann Arbor and beat the Wolverines.
I'm rooting for him. I want to see it happen. I as you say, Michigan, if Jimmy Wilson's listening.
That's right. That's right.
My cousin Eddie loves Michigan too. He's been rocking that stuff, Woodson jerseys and Brady and all that. So I'm rooting for you. We are.
That's right. Hey, and on one final thing on that, both running backs are freshmen, true freshmen. Nicholas Singleton, National High School Player of the Year. He's really good. And they're number 3 back's a sophomore. They're just loaded in the skill position. Same thing at wide receiver, only 1 senior.
And that's bodes well, obviously, for the future and the quarterback coming up. So, like, your skill positions, you're probably good for the next 2 years before they become draft eligible, right? Yeah. Yep. So
that's right.
That's exciting future for the Lions.
All right. Well, hey, I got to give you a chance to talk Georgia. Your number 2 ranked Bulldogs. They're hosting number 5 Auburn. They're 5-0 and hosting Auburn this week. You worried?
Not worried about Auburn after seeing what Penn State did. I am a little worried about the team. They struggled the last few weeks, but a lot of young guys. I'm surprised that defense was as good as it was the first 3 weeks, given that all the NFL players went to the NFL. Offensively, I've never been a big Stetson Bennett guy. I think the defense really carried him. He had a good national championship and played well down the stretch there, but he doesn't really have the weapons offensively right now. You got Brock Bowers, but they don't have like that at the tight end Bowers, but they don't have like a receiver. And then running back wise, it's not those high level guys you're used to seeing in the NFL at this point. So we'll see, but they slipped the two.
NFL already. They're already in the NFL.
Yeah, they're like a running back machine. They're a receiver machine too. You see George Pickens killing it for the Steelers. He's another one that's going. So
yeah. Well, college football to me every week. It's fun to watch. Doesn't really matter what games you're watching. There's good ones everywhere. You can just channel surf and watch great football no matter what. Nothing like it for me. College football on Saturdays. All right, Freddie. As you know, each week, Chet, Boop, Bob Vetrone Jr., and I pick NFC East games. So with that, there he is. Let's welcome Boop back from Bettors Insiders. Boop Stats brought to us by Spitz Bar and Grill.
Splits.
Back to Philly Pressbox Radio. Splits.
Splits, not Spitz.
Splits.
Yes.
Well, it was meant to say splits. Did that not come out?
Yeah. Bill, listen, why don't you and I chip in and buy Freddy some coffee or some Red Bull or something to get him out of his shell?
Hey, nothing like being young and excited, right, Boop?
I know. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
How you doing, Freddy?
Hey, what's up, Boop?
Well, let me tell you, Boop. You know we couldn't go through a show without getting a cameo appearance from Chet, right? He's in Italy. The guy's in Italy, for God's sake. All right, so here we go. We're going to get the standings from him. He sent a video. He's got the standings. He's got his picks. He's got who's coming on the show next week. We're going to just play all this. Then we'll come back. We'll let Fred's going to be our mystery picker tonight. He can go. Boop, you'll go. I'll go. And we'll cover it from there. How's that?
Sounds good.
All right. Here he is from Venice or somewhere.
Ciao and buongiorno. Yes, it's me, and I'm in Florence, Italy, believe it or not. And tonight's beer of choice is Ignusa Anima Sarda from Sardinia. Good stuff. Nice lager. Anyway, hope you guys are well. What's happened since I've left the country? Let's see. The Eagles improved to 4-0. The Phillies clinch a playoff spot for the first time in 11 years. Life is good. Miss you guys. Hey, let's talk about our picks, though, for the week. Recapping last week, your defending champion, that's me, went 4-0. While Boop and Bill, you guys were both 3-1. Boop, unfortunately, picked Washington to beat the Cowboys. Bill got his pick wrong with Tom Brady and Tampa to beat the Kansas City Chiefs. Didn't happen. So for the season, I'm still in first place, 11-5. Bill and I were tied going into this past week. Bill, you are now 10-6, one game back. And hey, Boop, you're at least at the 500 mark now. You have improved to 8-8. So hopefully better days are ahead for you. All right. For this weekend, we have 4 NFC East games, as you guys are well aware. And you know what? I'm pretty much just going to go chalk this week. The Giants and Green Bay. I think that's the Thursday night game. No, early Sunday. It's early Sunday. Over across the pond, somewhere where I am. Got to go with the Packers in that one. Giants are not that good. Trust me. Also, we have Tennessee at Washington. Come on. Got to go with the Titans in that one. Dallas at the LA Rams. The Cowboys will not win this one. The Rams are going to be mad after losing that Sunday or Monday night game to San Francisco. The Rams will beat the Cowboys. And then Sunday, late afternoon, we have the Eagles and Arizona Cardinals, another battle of the birds. Got to go with the visiting Eagles to improve to 5-0. My pick, the Birds, 31-20, the Eagles to beat the Cardinals. So there you have it. And hey, Bill, because I know I'm not there to tell you, next week we got another good show for you guys, for everybody who's out there listening and watching. We have 2 of our favorite dudes from 94 WIP, James Seltzer and Jack Fritz. Yeah, the High Hopes guys. Go Birds in the case of James Seltzer. Producers extraordinaire, Seltzer and Fritz together at the same time in the first half of next week's show. We may also have an additional guest talking hockey. That one has yet to be finalized. But there you go. Enjoy the weekend. Go Eagles, go Phillies, and oh yeah, arrivederci Take care, guys.
Hey, Boop, I was looking at that. I was wondering when I looked at the background, like, was that thing actually filmed in like maybe 1968 with those yellow curtains?
Yeah, it's one of those old Peter Sellers movies, like Shot in the Dark or something. I don't know how that video got past custom.
hard to believe it, and so much energy in it too.
Yeah. Something tells me if it wasn't the defending champion, he may have just taken the week off. Period. But he knew that we wouldn't mention that this week, so he felt inclined.
That's right. All right, let's get to it. Let's get our picks. Freddie, you're up, then Boop, then me. We got Giants and Packers. Packers -8.
Before I do that, Boop, I looked at my phone during Chet's thing, and my wife texted me during the show, stop yelling, as she's putting into bed our 1-year-old that's upstairs. So she's with you. It is annoying her as well. But the Giants, the defense has done pretty well this year. The offense is terrible. Daniel Jones, Davis Webb, whoever their quarterback is, they're not going to put up any points. I'll take the Packers here in London, 23-10.
Boop.
Let me get my notes over here a second. I want to get it. If I can get it over here, just so you know. Let's see. The Packers are in the middle of their 3 straight games against the NFL's new division: New England, New York Giants, and the New York Jets. And kudos to whoever in the scheduling office scheduled them in alphabetical order. Packers are going to cream them. It's the Giants. They have one good player, the Giants. So that's that.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't see any way the Giants play up there. It is, and I hate to say this. I hate to say this because he's a Giant, but it is kind of fun to watch Saquon Barkley run the football.
Yep.
Yeah, he's good. All right, Titans in Washington to play the Commanders. Titans -2.5. A little surprise on that spread, Boo.
Yeah, but the Commanders, or the Commandments as I've been calling them, they haven't gotten a takeaway in 3 weeks. You can't take the ball away. You can't win in this league. Tennessee.
Yeah, 2 teams going in 2 completely different directions. 3 losses in a row for the Commanders, 2 wins in a row for the Titans. Bud Dupree, I think, is a big factor here because if you get that pass rush on Carson, you see how that goes. The spread does scare me, though, Bill. That is a little low. I'm going to still take the Titans, though.
Yeah, me too. Full dose of Derrick Henry coming at that Washington defense. I think Titans by a lot more than 2.5, I'm thinking. All right, Cowboys at the Rams. Rams -4.5. Rams got shellacked. Dallas, they're winning. They're pulling it off. Maybe they're better quarterbacks actually in the game.
Yeah, the Rams can't seem to get their footing. Maybe seeing America's team across the field might get them spurred on a little bit. They're the better team despite their Cowboys 3-1 record, and they're not in our division. So go Rams.
Yeah, I'm going to go with the Rams as well. Dallas is surprisingly winning, and I hope they have a quarterback controversy. It will be beautiful for them to have a controversy. But I'm going to take the Rams here to get the win. There's no way I'm coming back to Philly Pressbox Radio and taking the Dallas Cowboys. No way.
Well, and I'll tell you what, I haven't taken the Cowboys all year, and I'm not taking them again. I'll take losses before I take the Cowboys. They need a good shellacking before they come here next Sunday and get the next shellacking from the Eagles. So I'm going Rams as well. That gets us to the Eagles. They travel to Arizona at 4:25 kickoff against Kyler Murray and the Cardinals. Eagles -5.5. Who you like?
They're playing so well on both sides of the ball. There's no way you can pick against the Eagles. That 5.5 seems low to me. And I'll get into that a little bit when I give you my betting pick, but I'm going Eagles 28-12.
Yeah, I'm not really concerned about this either. My only one slight concern is the D-backs. The rain helped us a lot in that Jaguars game. There were some open receivers there when you saw Gardner coming down to the slot and Zach McPherson and Josiah Scott. But how can you pick against the Eagles right now? So go Birds.
Yeah. Well, and I'm the same way. I think the key, Kyler Murray is the key, but the key is keeping him in the pocket and make him throw the football. And I think the Eagles defensively will be able to do that. Hassan Reddick's playing great. Brandon Graham's playing great. Keep him inside, make him beat you with his arm and not with his feet. And I like the Eagles to win this game. All right, boom. Throw us some weekly Bettors insider tidbits for us for the week.
Well, pardon me. Arizona has lost their last 7 home games against the spread, which is pretty hard to do. You can lose games easier than you lose against the spread. They've lost 7 straight at home, which seems like a lot. So it would seem to think maybe I'm going to go with the law of averages and either not lay the points with the Eagles or take the points. I went back and looked back to 1978 when most spreads were available. Teams have lost. There's 16 teams that have lost more than 7 games in a row against the spread at home. 5 of them have actually lost 10 games in a row at home against the spread. So if you were thinking of laying the points and would ease away from that because of the Arizona not doing well, the heck with it. Lay the points. Go out there. Arizona's going to lose again. At least I'm thinking maybe 2 touchdowns.
I'm with you. Hey, I wanted to throw at you, Boop, because you and I actually had a quick conversation about this. How well did Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, and the Kansas City Chiefs come prepared to Tampa for Sunday night? They let it all go.
They really did. And the play, every game, Patrick Mahomes is a play I've never seen before, or he does something that reminds me of something from 40 years. He had that little tossing the ball over the fence to the guy on the other side after running around for 5 minutes. That I just was like, okay, that's the game play for today. Andy's got it running on all cylinders. Even the plays that don't work look good now. So he's, they're both doing great, and thank goodness, because they're my 1A team, as we all know.
Yeah. How do you like them in the AFC? There's some good teams. Buffalo, was picked by a lot of experts to be the team coming out of the AFC, and they're playing good ball too.
Yeah.
How do you like it?
The funny thing is, if they hadn't won the Super Bowl, I'd be antsy about how well the rest of the league is. But right now, I know they're one of the best. If they don't win a Super Bowl, I still got it in my pocket. Same thing with the Eagles. I'm less tense about how they're playing and about how the opposition is. I'm more about having fun. So, as long as they try it out every week, which they'll be doing against Monday night against the hated Raiders, there's going to be some fun. And, that's what this sport's all about, having fun.
That's right. So, hey, Boop, I understand you managed to, I'm sure you were behind this, that you've got Splits Bar and Grill opening early on Friday. Is that because you're going to still be there from Thursday for the Phillies game at 2 o'clock?
Yeah, they would normally open around 3 on Friday. But because the baseball game's on and because they know I have no life otherwise, they decided to bribe a bartender to come in a little bit early. So they'll be opening at 1:30. Come on down, watch the game. Like I said, like Bill said, I may still be there from Thursday or possibly even Wednesday. It's and it's a party. We had a really good time the other night watching them clinch the game. Couples had the Milwaukee game on the phone. We had the football game on and the Phillies, and it was a lot of fun. Good old time, just like we used to do in the 50s. Bill, sit around the computer and watch the scores coming in from the Henderlands.
Right. All right. So give a shout out to Splits. Where are they? How can you get there?
Splits Bar and Grills in the Laurel Lanes Bowling Center Complex, Maple Shade, New Jersey, South Route 73. Lickety Splits, the ice cream place, is right next to it. In fact, there's nothing better than topping off your NFL Sunday with a chocolate milkshake from Lickety Splits. And then you can get by all that. You can check me out at Twitter. On Twitter at Spoopstats or on my website, boopstats.com. Lots of Phillies Cardinals stuff I put up today, including dissecting how the Sunday games would play out, because there's a lot of changes that happens with the Sunday games depending on who's alive. And I think I came up with a chart that kind of explains that a little easier than what the MLB let you have. So, hopefully it won't take us 3 games to beat the Cardinals. It'll just take us 2. But if we have to get to Sunday, we'll figure out where we are.
How do you like the Phils in this series?
They've got a puncher's chance. They've got enough firepower, and most of them are right back in the saddle. I like that Realmuto got to sit for a couple days. I like that Schwarber got hot towards the end. I like that they got Hoskins to talk after the game, because that makes him – he is one of the elder statesmen guys, and he's not exactly tearing the ball off the roof, off the ball. But, they're in a place now that – I don't want to say it reminds me of 2007 because they ended up getting swept by Colorado, but the gelling is there of a really, really good team, young guys and older guys together. They can do some damage, but it's not going to be the end of the world if they don't. Pujols scares the devils out of me. He always has. He scared me when he was an Angel. I always thought he was going to do something to hurt the Phillies. Now he's back in St. Louis, and he could have a 4 home run series and really, take the wind out of the sails.
Yeah. One final comment, and I'll go to you, Boop, first, and then Fred comment on this as well.
Fred's still there?
Yeah, he's still here. You're a stats guy. You are the stats guy. The year that Aaron Judge has put together, I don't care if he doesn't play for the Phillies. When you got to recognize when something really great happens. Yeah. Something great has happened this year for Aaron Judge. And how do you see it as you look at all the stats over years?
Yeah.
What kind of season is this?
Yeah, it is. He's just putting up numbers and he's put it out quietly and consistently all season. He's handled it in a great manner. He's done it, up and down the lineup, including the number 1 slot late in the year. And he handles himself well. So if you look at some of the numbers, the OPS and even the analytics stuff, I don't go by. It's kind of almost off the charts. So it's my future son-in-law, hopefully, quote unquote, is a big Yankees fan. So I'm really happy for him and for them. And we could do worse than the Phillies Yankees World Series again, third one.
Well, go ahead, Fred.
It's always good when records get broken. It's so exciting. I remember when the Sosa and McGuire stuff happened as a kid. It was so awesome. One thing I took away, I was looking at him. Do you know he's older than Bryce Harper? I always thought of him as a younger player. He's older than Bryce Harper, and that blew me away last night.
Yeah, I saw a picture of him with it might have been Winfield or somebody from 10 years ago. And I'm like, boy, Aaron Judge hasn't changed a bit, and I'm thinking it's hard to believe he's been around 10 years. I still think of him as a young kid. He's hitting like a young kid, that's for sure.
Absolutely. Well, I think he's putting together one of the greatest offensive seasons we've seen, and maybe in our lifetimes. It can't go back to the Ted Williams type of years. It's really something to watch. I don't want to see them in the World Series. I just assume the Yankees fall like they always do, but because I can't root for them.
They'll fall. It'll be fun.
Well, Boop, we appreciate you coming by as always. We'll do it again next week, and have a great weekend at Splits, and you got plenty of sports to watch.
Yep, I'll find something to do, I'm sure.
There you go. All right, thanks, Boop.
Thank you, guys.
Boop. All right. Hey, Freddy, we can't skip out on the Flyers. Preseason's underway. Those Flyers.
Oh, they're still in this town?
Very little fanfare so far until today when they made the announcement they are cutting or sending down Cam York, who had tons of expectations. What are your expectations for John Tortorella's Flyers?
He's the only thing that got me excited. I'll tell you, I haven't watched the lick of preseason, but I watched the 12-minute inside the locker room video thing that they had of John Tortorella. And, people are up in arms about the Cam York thing because he was stressing that he's going to play the kids and they're going to get on the rails. And, it kind of reminds me of the Sixers back when the process began. You knew they were not going to be that good. And now is the time to get on the train, in my opinion. Watch them. You don't have to live and die by wins and losses. Just root for the players and see what young talent there is. The one thing we don't want, though, is to get into this situation where we're like in the middle ground and our picks were between pick 10 and 18 instead of the top 1 through 5. We can't do that. We can't play that game.
Right. Well, and basically that's what created the process on the basketball side, is they were stuck in the middle and couldn't get out, and they made some decisions to get out. Flyers, I don't think, are good enough to get to the middle at this point, but we'll see. John Tortorella basically said Cam York wasn't ready on the mental side of the game. And, I think physically everybody thinks he could play. What makes me laugh, though, Fred, and I hate to always dog on the Philadelphia sports fans. It's not just Philadelphia. It's everywhere. That people's like, how can you cut him? How could you do this? You weren't at practice. You weren't in camp. You know what I mean? So it's just funny to hear people, that's stupid. They're idiots. They need to fire this person. Those guys are with them every minute of every day. They pretty much know what's going on.
It reminds me of when Reed came here and he cut George Hegemans and had the other guy doing all this. And everyone's like, what's this guy doing? They're there. They know what's going on. And I kind of like it. And the beat writers are up in arms about it too, which is weird to me. Maybe Cam York was their inside guy in the locker room. I don't know what it is, but they're so mad about it. And I'm just like, hey, maybe he goes down to the Phantoms for 20, 25 games and they change their mind. Like, he's trying to get him minutes. He's been around for a while. He's a veteran coach. We're not expecting to win anyway. What's the big deal?
Yeah. Well, and Tortorella said that he is going to get a ton of time down there. And I think he expects him to be back up sooner rather than later. But we'll find out because the preseason, hockey preseason or Flyers is over. They open next week, and we're going to play for real. Another live sport. Hopefully the Phillies are still playing, and we'll have 3, and basketball will be right behind it. We'll have 4 going on all at one time. That would be fun.
And it's going to be so fun. And not that I even follow it or know, or care for it. I hear people talk about it. The Union, even they're like a first round bye. There's a lot of soccer fans out there. You get all like, if you got like the channels are just going to be like, yes. And that's the October we want.
That's right.
Great.
That's right. All right, my man. Good stuff. Hey, let's take another quick break and thank our friends over at the PPCC 118 Raz Room. They post great sports memorabilia on their Facebook page, so people can take a chance of winning something they may not be able to afford or have access to. All items come with certificates of authenticity. They'll continue to run out great autographed memorabilia from all the Philly teams and more. Check out their Facebook page. Like it or follow it. It's PPCC 118 Raz Room. That's right, PPCC 118 Raz Room. Well, Freddie, any parting shots for you, any closing thoughts for you as we head into the weekend? We got 3 baseball games. We have a big football game. How you feeling?
Get excited. Just get excited and enjoy it because it doesn't always come. And to like begrudge this whole thing, there are a lot of people, this is the wild card, don't even count. That's the way it's going to be. They're going to expand the playoffs. Every league does it. It's going to happen. Enjoy it. And my other parting shot as a parting thank you, I just want to say again, thank you to Philly Press Box, Edge of Philly Sports, everyone for all their support with what me and my family are going through. It helps. It helps so much. The positive comments, prayers. So positive vibes, whatever you want to call it. So thank you.
You got it. Hey, and I appreciate you stepping in, and glad we got you out of semi-retirement. You haven't been able to do too much with all your other stuff going on, and I appreciated being able to ask you. You jumped right on and said, I'm in for the whole show, and I appreciate that as well.
Thank you for having me.
All right, let's wrap it up. Let's thank tonight's special guest, our co-host, Freddie Burns, Bob Vetrone Jr., our sponsors, the Irish River Station House, Bob Sullivan's LakeYourAge.com, PPCC 118 Raz Room, and Dave Lavoie of Allstate Insurance in Westchester. For Jim Chet Chesko, this is Bill Furman. We hope you enjoyed the show. We'll join Philly Press Box Radio next Wednesday, October the 12th at 7 p.m. You can see us live on Facebook or listen through our website, phillypressboxradio.com, on blogtalkradio.com/phillypressboxradio, on Google Podcasts, as well as Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and all the others. High hopes, Philadelphia sports fans. Go Phillies, go Birds.
Happy trails to you till we meet again.